hanging water cheers to Laura Rice, the water educator. Enjoy.
It's important for people to realize too, there's like your water, there's bottled water, which has a lot of issues, especially with the plastics and the endocrine disruptors. And then we can filter our water. And then we have the ionizer. So they're not the same things. And I think people need to really understand and learn that. So you had a Berkey and that gave you clean, uncontaminated water, but that's not the same as having the Kangen ionized water.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, with the Kangen ionizer, that's really like, it's hard to wrap it up all in one piece because it does so many different things in our house and for our home. But even just for the basic drinking water, it was just overall such a better decision than any other filter I've ever used before. And guys, when I got it, I thought it was a water filter. I didn't really understand like what it was or how it worked, or I didn't understand the science behind it at all when I bought into it. But it was the feeling that I got from drinking the water that made me do a little bit more research on that. So
yeah, because it really is, it does really give you energy. I always think of it like lightning does to the whole earth. I know in the spring storms, being a grower, you know, the lightning storms in the spring really awakened so much and added so much energy to all the life in the plants and the food, all the streams, everything. It was such a powerful electric strike that caused life. So really we get that exact idea from the water that we drink.
In every glass.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Really like living water, guys. So what is the whole concept of that, right? Like that people don't look at that we're kind of like a battery. We charge at night, like our cell phones, right? And we are electric beings. We literally have carbon and copper resistance in the brain that's happening that makes us electrical. And so we have these electrical charges, and it's like, why would we think that we can take food from a tree or produce, and we want that to be the freshest possible, right? But with our water, we can bottle that and package it away and store it for God knows how many years. It's stored in plastic right before it gets to us. And then we think that that's going to be okay for us, and it's completely not fresh, and it's lost its electrical charge. And I became really passionate about the electric alkaline diet by Dr. Sebi, and I was really looking into that, and you know, the Hunza Valley tribe and the longest living tribe, and we really are our nervous systems. And I look at a lot of the health issues that I've encountered in my life as issues with my nervous system. And so, you know, the automatic nervous system is so complex. It runs through our entire body. We have nerves that are so incredibly important. And it's really based on the electrical system that we have in our bodies. And so I think that a lot of people just don't, you know, they think about the body as individual parts, or they think about it has this machine function to it, that there's an explanation for everything, when a lot of it can be based on energy and the electrical function of our body as well.
Well said.
That is really well said. And what comes to my mind is, well, people say well water maybe is living because it's coming from a well from like depths in the earth. So what would your response be to that?
Yeah, I think it's great if you have well water. I don't think that, you know, and also people who collect spring water or water that is natural rainwater catchment, different things like that. I think different forms of water away from our municipality are great, but I think that it's really still key to have filtration and water testing for things like that. And wells do have a great deal of contamination because, like you said, they're drilled from the earth, and the earth has natural forms of contamination. So things like radon, uranium, arsenic, like we had mentioned before, those are all natural elements of the earth. And so those are things that get drummed up from the earth. And we see a lot of contamination in wells. We see this is like very common actually. And so when you have somebody who wants to get a Kangen ionizer from you and you find out they have well water, it's kind of like, okay, well, let's stop for a second, because we have to do some steps before that. We have to take a look at the well water that you're accessing. Is it contaminated? Have you had it tested? And another thing about contamination, guys, is that even with municipalities, contamination is changing daily. And so if you're not testing your water daily, then you're not really knowing. You could test it one day and think you have certain contaminants, and then a week later you have completely different contaminants. The CDC is showing us that whenever it rains, they have a spike in waterborne illnesses because of septic overflow into groundwater, which creates that groundwater contamination. And so these things are changing because of the weather. They're changing regularly because of industrial things that are happening or pharmaceuticals that are being dumped. And so we have all of this contamination happening regularly. So you want to do what's called preventative filtration. So no matter what, put a point of use drinking water filter that slows the water down enough to clean out the contamination and provide you still water that has minerals, right? Because we don't want to remove any minerals. And then you can further ionize it if you'd like. But that's just the basics of making that choice to have, filtration as well as ionization, having both of those things so important in the home.
Well, I love that you are like educating people. You're not just like, oh yeah, buy this Kangen machine. Like you're on well water, like you are like, yeah, let's take these steps. Let's really look at what you're drinking, what you're putting into your body. Okay, now we can take the next step. Let's get filtration, or, if you pay for your machine, I'll buy your filtration. Whatever you do, you are educating. And that's how we started the episode. You're an educator. But I think that's also important for people to know. It's like, and same with my mom and I, like in our podcast, like we're not just selling these machines. We want to educate people. We want them to really understand, like, yeah, there's lots of different things, lots of different avenues to get your water, and it's all great. But make sure you're taking the steps to make it clean, to make it living, to make it ionized, instead of just sales and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of gave us a little bit. There's distributors out there that are all about the sale. And then people are a little bit confused after that. Maybe they don't even know how to hook up their machine. And so that's why it's so important for us as leaders, as community leaders, to make for sure that we do deliver the total package, which includes first and foremost educating ourselves, right? And you don't have to be a guru, because like you guys said, we have a community of people that are gurus and really great at all of the different levels of education. So coming into this business, like we're fully stacked with our training programs. But it's just great to really stand in that power and have the education behind what we're actually doing. I wouldn't be as passionate as I am if I didn't have the education about the water I was drinking. Because you guys, there's a such thing as placebo, and people can just tell you things are good for you. And, people get results from just thinking that something's good for them. And so for me, I was like, I want to actually know what's going on here with the science of the water. And when you know that, I feel like it's even more beneficial to your body.
Well, it's a conscious choice. And when you make conscious choices based on information and actions, and your spirit, your mind, your emotions, and your physicality are lined up, you're really doing a real focused, beautiful, like now living moment of whether you're taking in really good food or good water, or you're doing kindness. You're all there. And that really makes a farther impact on all things we do, when we can really, know the blessings that we're part of.
Yeah. Intention.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, we could talk all day about water. I mean, we barely got started, but anyway, Laura, is there any last things you want to leave our listeners before we close the episode today?
Absolutely. So I kind of think of everything as inclusive in life. And so I think a lot of people kind of look at career or maybe their health or all of these different areas as separate parts of their life, but it really is all encompassing. All of life is all encompassing, right? Everything is connected. And so I find it to be just so beautiful that we're gathered here in the name of clean water today, really, because it's not only completely what we're composed of, but it's been so incredibly life-changing in so many different ways. And so I'm so grateful that I was here today. Thank you guys for having me on your podcast. You guys are absolutely wonderful. Mother-daughter duo, what a beautiful blessing. May we all have our families, and the mothers in our families drinking Kangen water and sharing that with their children as well. So God bless. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, Laura. So nice having you. The episode isn't quite over yet, listeners.
Or YouTubers.
If you haven't given us a like, subscribed, left us a review, or commented on any platform, We would really appreciate you showing us some love here at the Magical Holistic Healing Arts. And remember, Kangen water and our grab bag for the podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and stay vibrant out there.